Well, Carl, you just mentioned you're a couple of people down. What's the latest with the squad?
Yeah, we've got a few injuries. I think everyone knows that one or two of the boys that were already down. We've picked up another one or two niggles, which isn't great going into the weekend's game.
Who's in most danger of missing then on that side of the woods?
Well, without actually telling you and naming names, I think it's you can clearly look at the players who were substituted the other day, which might give you an idea. Even though there was questions about substitutions, there's a reason why subs happen.
Given you're about to now march into a very busy 7-day period, 3 games in that space, how much pressure that puts on the depth in the squad?
Yeah, it's great. You know, players want to play games. I wouldn't say 7 days, I'll say 15 days because it's a very hectic schedule. Players want to play, coaches want to actually play games as well, so now we get the chance to do it. So everyone will be used. That's why you need a big squad. That's why I've been trying to rebuild this squad.
Just on that point, I mean, you've got Mitch Duke just landed today, of course, has to serve his time before he does come back, but that will add to the depth. But I guess this next 2 weeks, you'd be probably, I'm sure, telling the guys that are already there, you better impress.
Well, yeah, listen, players want to play, and I understand that. You know, all the time, every player wants to play every minute of every game, but that doesn't happen in world football. So when you get a chance to play, you've got to take that chance, and it's down to you. You know, coaches give players chances, it's down to the players to take the chances. So, yeah, we've got Mitch over the line, which is a fantastic signing for us. We know what everyone thinks about him here. Hopefully he lands safely and all good, and you know, it'd be good if they were nice and let him out of quarantine early, but that's not going to happen.
Well, where does he fit in this wonderful jigsaw puzzle? Because you've got quite depth when it comes to that attacking part of the field.
He fits in the squad. I said that from day one I walked in the door. I want to build a squad. Squads win things. I know people talk about, they've got the best team, but if you have a squad, you have to deal with a condensed schedule as well as injuries, suspensions, which will happen. It happens to every team. You need competition for places. Players perform at their best levels when you've got competition. So Mitch will add to the attacking corpus we've got and hopefully add a few goals as well.
Are you a bit top heavy in that department?
No.
No, never enough?
Never enough good players.
All right, I guess, and you will need them, like you said, over the next 2 weeks either way.
Part of dealing with a big squad is dealing with players and dealing with people, and I'm not too bad at that.
That is part of the role of the manager, isn't it? When guys aren't getting a run, is that often harder than the ones that are?
It is, but if you're honest with them and open and explain the situation and why, you know, you go through periods in seasons where there'll be ups and downs, and the knowledge of when to leave players out and give them a rest for their own reasons. The reason why we have our GPS data, the reason why we have our sports scientists is when their levels are dropping, 1, to avoid risk of injury, but 2, to actually keep them at their top levels. So that's why you need a squad.
Are you getting any feedback that perhaps they don't necessarily agree
sometimes? Every day. And the day I get to speak to them and they don't agree will be the day probably it's time for me to go.
All right, it all starts, of course, Saturday. This little stretch, Theo MacArthur, after what happened in round 1?
No, listen, it's another game. Obviously, they were on the right side of the result. Obviously, a deflected free kick. I think it was a really good game of football, which was important. Obviously, we didn't like to lose our home opener. It's a rivalry game, we know that. But we've rebounded and reacted very well since. You know, we've put some foundations in from the first game, which we've built on. We can still get better. We're still nowhere near where I want us to be, but we're playing some very, very good stuff. We're controlling games, not throughout the game. You know, that has to be said. And when you don't control a game with the ball, you can be in control without the ball. You know, that's really important as well. And we're building slowly here.
In contrast, what sort of side are you expecting after what happened in their last fixture and without Mark Milligan?
What am I expecting from them? I don't know. Listen, they've got a very good coach. Ante, he's a great guy, we all know, and he's very tactical and thought process driven. So they'll be up for it. We have to perform. If we don't perform, we won't get the result, and I'm sure Ante will be saying the same thing.
No Milligan, no? How much has that hurt them?
Well, we've got 2-3 players, starting players missing as well, so that hurts us as well. And listen, that's why you have a squad. You know, you can't just focus on one player. We've probably got 4 or 5, or supporters might say 6 or 7 starters not in the team at the moment because we're playing a lot of young ones, especially in the back line. But gives young players a chance. You can't have it both ways. You can't complain that youngsters don't get given chances, and then when you do play them, complain that senior players are left out. So there's got to be a happy medium.
Spoke to a young keeper. He certainly looks like he's really found a home. He must be impressed with what he's offered you since he's joined.
He's been excellent. He really has. I think with young players, sometimes they just need a little bit of belief and an opportunity, and sometimes that happens at the club that you're at, and sometimes it happens when you have to move clubs. And I think Marg, since he's come over, I knew he had potential. Obviously, Davide has very high hopes for him. He looked at him in detail. The amount of analysis he went into him was phenomenal. and he fits the profile that I want. Not just him, but we've got Noah James as well on loan from Newcastle, who also fits a profile of what I want in a goalie. So we've got two young keepers fighting for that spot, and it's down to them.
Just finally, in terms of this next little stretch, given that you haven't got a lot of travel in that for yourselves, other teams do, and they have also got a busy schedule. Is this a real period you can cash in and cement your spot? Right?
Yeah, I think the league's shown already in the early rounds that anyone beats anyone on their day. I think it shows that if you don't turn up with the right mentality and the right mindset, you can lose a game, whether you're the champion Sydney or whether you were the bottom team Central Coast, who are doing incredibly well at the moment. So that's great. That's what you want in football. You know, it's happening in the Premier League at the moment. I think see Brighton beat Liverpool today. It happens. It's how you react and how you deal with it. So we'll just go. We'll enjoy ourselves. The players are a together group. They're a great bunch of lads. We'll play with a smile on our face, and we'll try and play the right way.